Hey everybody, I'm Hugh Brownstone for Three Blind Men and an Elephant, and today I want to talk about this morning's announcements from Sigma of their new full-frame 100 to 400mm f5 to 6.3 DGDN zoom, a dedicated ground-up design for mirrorless cameras from Sony, Sigma, Panasonic, and Leica, and the availability, finally, of what I'll call Sigma's Holy Trinity APS-C primes, the 16, 30, and 56mm f1.4s in L-mount. But before I get into it, a few quick announcements. First, if you like what you see here today, please give a thumbs up, subscribe, and or join the conversation in the comments section below. I think we have an exceptionally kind, generous, knowledgeable, funny, and supportive community, and we can learn from each other. Second, I want to let you know that we've just started offering one-on-one mentoring sessions covering everything from portfolio reviews to gear selection and how to set up your home studio for YouTubing. These are live video chats. So if this is interesting to you, please head over to www.3bmep.com/booking to learn more. Third, I'm pretty happy about this. We only have a few copies left in our first run of Streets of New York, the book. It's 85 pages of street photography and street portraiture, taken in my favorite city on earth, home of my birth, over the 2 years just preceding the pandemic. So if you miss New York City like we do, it's a great place to get your fill. If you'd like to snag your own personal signed copy, please visit www.3bmep.com/books to order now. However you choose to support our work, as always, we thank you for it. Anyway, Sigma's announcements. I can be reasonably concise here because although I do not have the new lenses in hand, one, we do own, having purchased with our own hard cash, the 16 and 30mm in Sony and Micro Four Thirds mount, respectively. We use them as our daily drivers for A-roll, the 30mm on the GH5, and product B-roll, the 16mm on our Sony A6400. Two, we have tested the DGDN 45 2.8 in L-mount, generating shots on the streets of New York like this. 3. We have tested the full-frame DSLR-oriented Sigma 60 to 600mm f4.5 to 6.3 DGOS-HM, generating shots like this. Four, we are currently evaluating Sigma's 14 to 24 and 24 to 72.8s on our personal Leica CL and SL2, getting shots like this. And 5, we have worked with and or evaluated a pile of glass with these fields of view over the years from manufacturers including Sony, Panasonic, Leica, Fujifilm, Zeiss, Nikon, Hasselblad, and Canon. All of which allow me to say with confidence, first, Sigma is making some killer glass at the price. Second, yay, the L-mount Alliance is now beginning to deliver the full power of its partners. Third, we will almost certainly buy the 16 1.4 and 56 1.4 in L-mount for our Leicas because A, these are fields of view and depths of field we use wide open, effectively full-frame 24, 45, and 85mm f2s. B, like Sony and Nikon, but unlike Canon or Panasonic, the one mount serves full-frame and crop sensor cameras just like our SL2 and CL. What I really enjoy about this is that with 47 megapixels on tap, even when switching to APS-C mode, we will end up with 30 megapixels worth of capture. What are we up to? C? C. We save ourselves between $5 and $10 grand in the process because the crop sensor Leica Apo Macro Elmarit TL62.8 and Super Vario Elmarit TL11-23 3.5 to 4.5 are $3,300 and $2,000 respectively, while a full-frame 75 or 90 Apo Summicron SL and the Summicron SL24, when and if it arrives, will cost at least $5,000 a pop. And D, we can live with the mechanical and optical trade-offs these entail. Hold that thought. It is therefore easy, fourth, to recommend these Sigma primes immediately, though, hold that thought. And fifth, we anticipate that the 100 to 400 will become a go-to lens for many because of its reach, price, and size, but hold that thought too. Although now that I've said that, let's just circle back to these thoughts I've asked you to hold and deal with them. These Sigma primes are weather sealed, fit for purpose mechanically, and will no doubt be wonderfully sharp. But I anticipate that chromatic aberration, especially spherochromatic aberration wide open, will not be as well corrected as I'd like, almost certainly not as well corrected as Nikon's new benchmark Nikkor Z primes. Doesn't matter for black and white, definitely does matter to my eye for color. It remains to be seen if they focus as quickly and surely as native mount glass too. Will they be as well built or optically amazo as Leica's TL and SL lens lines? No, I can't imagine that they would. If I could have my druthers, as my dad used to say, would I prefer all Leica all the time? Yeah, but I chose to give up that life that would allow me that choice a long time ago, and I'm fine with it. Next, the image-stabilized 100 to 400 zoom, a lens which, at the moment, is a more opaque proposition to me. Now, the zoom is also weather-sealed, and I'm sure fit for purpose mechanically. But I'm not quite as sure about the sharpness. This is one of the reasons I generally don't like zooms as much as primes, even now, and while I'll wait until I've had one in hand, in use, before drawing a hard conclusion. Then again, primes at the long end of that range are at once more limiting, while being dramatically more expensive, heavier, and bigger because they're almost always faster too, so let's not get piggy. What's unequivocal is that any of these lenses from Sigma represent great values. At $949, for example, the Sigma is $50 more than and gives up 200 millimeters of top end to its closest sibling, the design for DSLR's 150 to 600 f5 to 6.3. But it is also 50 millimeters wider at the bottom end for some additional flexibility, more than 1/3 lighter, and approximately half the volume. These matter to us. On the other hand, it has the same focal range as Sony's outstanding $2,600 100 to 400 millimeter G Master. It gives up just about nothing as far as maximum aperture is concerned. It's roughly 20% lighter and smaller than the G Master, and just about 1/3 the price. That is a big deal to most of us. Is it built as well as the Sony? No. As well corrected as the Sony? To be determined, though I suspect not. As sharp? Focuses as quickly and surely? Maybe. Finally, the Sigma has 120 millimeters more reach than the incredible $7,000 Leica Apo Variant Elmarit 90 to 280, 2.8 to 4, at just about 1/7 its price, and is about 20% smaller and almost 40% lighter. Yes, the Sigma gives up a couple of stops to the Apo. There's no way it's nearly as well built. I can't imagine it's as well corrected. I'd be surprised if it were as sharp, though it might be. Focuses as quickly and surely? Possibly. In either case, Sony or L-mount, most of us would likely happily purchase the Sigma and live with these trade-offs. Though the real question in the case of the zoom, the one that will be the deciding factor, I suspect, for sports and wildlife shooters is, how well does it perform with the 1.4 and 2x teleconverters? Again, to be determined. But for what we do, the lens to which I'm most interested comparing is the utterly brilliant Micro Four Thirds DG Leica Vario Elmarit 50 to 200, 2.8 to 4. This is possibly the most undervalued lens on the market. It is the full-frame equivalent of 100 to 400, 5.6 to 8, yet still has the light-gathering power of its big brother full-frame Apo Vario Elmarit SL 90 to 280, with almost 50% greater reach. The 50 to 200 is half the size of the Sigma, never mind the 90 to 280, and while okay, just about twice the price, is so worth it. To me, Your mileage may vary, as always, and that's fine. But from where I sit, the DG Leica 50-200 is so sharp, crisp, clean, well-corrected, so bright, so small, that for what we do, it would be reason enough to stay in Micro Four Thirds. That's kind of it until we can go hands-on. The zoom will likely be compelling to many Sony and L-mount shooters with crop sensor or full-frame bodies, again, especially sports and wildlife shooters. The fast APS-C primes will be especially attractive to anyone in the L-mount world looking for value and performance in relatively small packages, also looking for the shallow depth of field of a full-frame f2. In other words, Sigma FP, Panasonic S1, and S1H video shooters happy to record in Super 35 mode. Panasonic S1R or Leica SL2 photographers, because they'll still have 30 megapixels even in APS-C mode, though of course they'll have the same option for video as FP, S1, and S1H shooters. Of course, Leica's APS-C shooters, TL2 or CL, because they'll get to use the full power of their 24 megapixel APS-C sensors at prices that leave enough money available for, well, more lenses, more bodies, a precious little sacrifice in image quality, at least at normal viewing distances and sizes, at least to the vast majority of us. Unless, in this moment, they decide to bank it instead for a rainy day. I understand.